meeting is being recorded.
Hello,
Got it.
everybody. Just before I open the meeting, I just wanted to let the members of the public know that the extension of the public hearing that was originally scheduled to go until tonight for Valley Street Investments, that's been extended to our next regular meeting on February 14th, 2022, due to an illness on the part of the applicant or the applicant's representative. So they gave us a 35-day extension, and the next time that we will be continuing the public hearing until that date. So that being said, I'm going to open our regular meeting. I'll call it to order. Roll call. Let's see.
All the members are here, full members are here.
Yep. So there'll be no alternates seated this evening. And Paula, any additions or changes to the agenda?
None.
Okay. The minutes of January 10th, 2021.
2022, I lied.
2022. Thank you. Is everyone comfortable with it as presented? I'll make a
Yes.
motion that we accept it as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, either raise your hand or say aye.
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 Okay, that's unanimous, correct?
No, I have to abstain. I was not at the meeting.
Thank you. That's Bob Powell.
Okay.
Thank you,
I
Bob.
have to abstain also.
Okay, Rich
Rich.
Napolitano. Okay.
Is this
motion-
Walt Tabor's first meeting back?
Yes, it is, sir.
Just
Yes,
like to
he's-
say hello.
Yeah, welcome back.
Welcome,
back.
Walt.
Thank you. How are you folks?
Good, thank you.
Very well.
The motion passes. Next up is the audience of citizens. For anything that is not already on our agenda this evening, is there anything anyone would like to bring up to us, members of the public?
No. Not here.
Okay. With that said, we're going to go on to the next item, the continuation of the public hearing for Valley Street Investments. It is continued to February 14th, 2022. Paul, I don't think we need to take any action on that.
No, you don't. You just need to make
Okay.
the statement.
Okay. Next up, unfinished business. There's nothing to cover there. Under new business, Alexa's talking in the background. Can't make that up. Next up is a filing date extension request for the Hop River subdivision. Paula?
This is a subdivision that was approved over the summer on Hop River for 4 lots. Our regulations stipulate a date when the final plans need to be submitted with the town clerk. There's a lot of work to be done prior to that being able to file, especially one with as complicated as this with deeds and easements and things. On October 25th, the commission granted one of the possible 2 extensions that our regulations allow. And that their current deadline is February 26th of 22. We may be ready to meet that, but I'd like to err on the side of caution and grant them they've requested, I asked them to request another second 90-day extension to file. And this would extend their filing deadline to the end of May. I anticipate they will have everything ready and executed. But I wouldn't want them to miss it by a day, because
Okay.
then they'd be back to square one.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the filing date extension request for the Hop River subdivision. Any discussion?
Second it.
Seconded, Rich. Any discussion on that? All those in
No.
favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? So that's unanimous. Thank you, everybody. Next up, we'll be discussing regulation revisions. Paula, you want to work through where we are? Want to go through multifamily regulations?
We can go through the regulations. You and I haven't had an opportunity to meet, and I think it would be good for us to meet to work on some of that as well.
Okay.
We've discussed all of these quite a bit. One of the things I would like us to be able to do tonight is at least set a tentative public hearing date for these. I would suggest maybe an April date.
Okay, what date in April would that be?
I'll
look it up.
It's either the first or second meeting in April.
At this point, why don't we go for the first meeting in April?
Okay.
We can, at least as a target.
Okay. I appreciate that. I think we've talked about everything that's on this list a few times. The affordable housing plan, that does not need a public hearing. The draft of that, I'm hoping to have ready for one of our February meetings. The section 3 revision, we've not looked at it. I can share that on my screen if anybody wants to. It's just a way of separating it to make it easier for and less expensive for our residents that are trying to put some sort of accessory structure or generator on their property. Currently, our regulations require a zoning permit, which then immediately triggers another $60 that has to go to the state of Connecticut. Our zoning permit for some of the smaller items is just a $10 zoning permit, but the person ends up paying $70 because of the $60. So we have figured out a way to, the commission and I have talked about this several months ago, where we're separating out a primary structure still needing a zoning permit, but an accessory structure with a certain definition, we just need a certificate of zoning compliance. So that will save folks an extra $60.
So
Did
the
we come up
second-
with a date in April on that multifamily?
April 11th.
Okay. Thank you.
So that for the April 11th, thank you. Thank you, Rick. That would be for the multifamily housing, the recreational cannabis, character, and the section 3 revisions.
Okay,
That's all of them, huh?
do we need a motion for that, Paula?
No,
Okay, so let's aim for that for the public hearing, and we'll work toward being ready well prior to that. Is there anything else? I'm just making notes here. What about subdivision regulations? Anything you want to discuss this evening, Paula?
I wish.
And I should probably talk about them before we come back to the commission.
Yes, and that's, I have not worked on it in quite a while because of all these other legislative changes that we've had to address.
So I'll have time later this week. I'll touch base with you
Okay.
next date that you're in the office.
Okay, thank you.
Anything under communication and reports?
Nothing.
I
Okay,
thought we got,
commission open discussion, anything?
We're gonna go over the ZEO report.
Yes.
yeah, then we
will.
got that.
I figure the best way to do that is under the ZEO report. When this meeting packet was prepared, we didn't have it. And I sent out a request again to our zoning enforcement officer on Friday, and did finally Friday night get back the ZEO report. So under two things under commission open discussion. I did ask Paula to prepare a document, and this is not specific to our current open public hearing, but I asked her to at least forward the information on what the criteria we would use for approving a special permit application, as much
idea.
so that we can explain it to the public and present it to the public, and maybe have a downloadable document for the public so they understand the criteria that we're compelled to analyze in the examination of any special permit application. And Paul, is that on page 45 of our regulations? It's under section 51.
51 and 52.
Okay,
I
so
I would have had that for tonight, except that we were not opening the
Yeah.
public hearing.
if we could just highlight the 8 criteria for a special permit analysis by the commission, so that if the public wants to download just a single page document from the website, I think it would make it more efficient for them to be aware of what our analysis criteria are for special permits in general.
Okay, will do.
That would be really helpful. We can just copy and paste it out of the regulations.
Mhm.
Then the other thing is the zoning enforcement report. And I would ask commission members to not discuss anything that they think might require legal action in specific terms, but talk in general terms. I did request of Connie Kislik, our zoning enforcement officer, that she send us a copy of this with the enforcement initiation date added in the spreadsheet that was sent to us. So for the members of the public, we have if you don't have this in front of you, we have a list of all open zoning enforcement actions. And we are charged by state statute of being in charge of enforcement of our regulations. And while we don't have direct operational oversight with our zoning enforcement officer, that's from our town administrator, we do like to know what's going on so that we can tailor any future zoning regulation changes around being helpful to have the right regulations in place and to help the zoning enforcement officer pursue enforcement of the regulations. So going through these open actions from time to time helps us keep a perspective on what we should be aiming at in terms of new regulation or supplemental regulations. So does anyone want to go through these line item by line item? What's the commission's pleasure?
Have one.
Rick, we are not in the executive session yet.
Okay. Oh, forgive me. So. Okay, so we
Nick-
can't discuss this at this point as open enforcement. Just so to the members of the public, we do periodically review these. Less about the detail and more about guidance for future regulation. Next up would be audience of citizens. Anything anyone would like to bring up to us at this point that's not on the agenda?
Yes, I had a question. This is Mike McGaldy and my wife Donna. Did you say did you say there's going to be a hearing to talk about the development of the wedding venue on Cards Mill Road? Is that rescheduled?
That is moved to
February
next-
14th.
February 14th meeting. It was originally scheduled for this evening, but
Yep.
the applicant had an illness on the part of their representative, and they requested an extension of the public hearing, which they requested, and we've granted the extension.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Anything else from the public? Okay, with that said, we don't have anything else that we're going to discuss in front of the public. We do have an executive session. So we'll be moving out of our regular meeting into an executive session to discuss some items. That's not open to the public. And then the next step after that will be an adjournment. There's nothing else that we have to discuss tonight. I assume many of you are interested because of the public hearing that you probably thought was going to go on tonight. That's been extended to the 14th, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
So the members of the public, if you could please close Zoom. I don't think anyone's still on, but I'm hearing a background noise.
Okay. Ed, are you a new alternate on the commission?
Yes.
So I want to formally welcome you. And I'm sorry I didn't do that at the beginning of the meeting.
It's okay.
I saw a new email address in the email train and I wasn't familiar with who it belonged to. So I did send a reply out and I didn't include you in a reply with the zoning enforcement report earlier. I'll send it, make sure you get a copy of it.
Yeah, no problem.
No, sure. And so welcome. And please, I would encourage you, if you have any questions about the way we do things, we try to take everybody who's a member of the commission and treat and welcome comments all the time. The only thing that's limiting is if you're an alternate and you're not seated during a public hearing, for you to weigh in on the commission discussion when we're considering a topic that was you should have been seated on. While we're discussing that actively, that's not something that we should pursue. But every other time, whether you're seated or not as a commission member on a given evening, I would encourage you and ask you to please weigh in just like you were a seated member. We always want every member present to be a part of the process. So welcome to this. And if you have questions, we do have coming up, required education sessions over the next year for commission members. I actually welcome that. There's a lot to become familiar with. So thank you, Ed. Anything you'd like to say to other members of the commission? And Walt is a returning member of the commission as an alternate. Walt, welcome back. He's muted.
He waved.
Yeah, he's in the dark too.
I'm there. He is in the dark.
Being respectfully quiet.
We don't have to do that
Rick,
with us.
what happened to Mr. Rindell?
You mean?
He reached out to me on the zoning
wait,
enforcement
wait.
report. His name
Rick,
appeared.
Rick,
Yes,
are we going into executive session?
yes. Well, you need to
Okay.
make a motion to go into
Oh.
executive session. I'll make that motion.
Second,
Please. Okay, Alex, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, so we're in executive session at this point. Thank you.